The platform started removing Vicky's videos after receiving the legal notices and documentation about the bot farms. Within 48 hours, her accounts were suspended pending investigation, and several influencer brands who'd been considering sponsorship deals dropped her immediately after being notified of the pending litigation. Her carefully built online persona was crumbling as more evidence came out about the fake followers and manufactured drama. The next week, I started seeing a therapist because Marcus insisted I needed help processing everything that had happened with my family. The therapist's office was in a small building near downtown Phoenix, and she had me fill out paperwork about family dynamics that made me realize how messed up things really were. She listened as I explained about the dress and the photos and the fake social media accounts, and when I was done, she looked at me and said, "I'd been experiencing emotional abuse for years. I'd never thought of it that way before." But she explained how Vicky's pattern of taking my things and my parents always excusing it had taught me my feelings didn't matter. We worked on setting boundaries, and she helped me understand that Vicky's choices weren't my fault, even though Mom kept texting me that I was destroying the family. Meanwhile, Dad had been going through old bank statements because the lawyer needed financial records for the restraining order case, and he found something that made him call me immediately. He'd discovered small withdrawals from Mom's savings account going back 5 years, always just under the amount that would trigger alerts, and when he traced them, they all went to accounts in Vicky's name. He went deeper into the records and found she'd been taking money from their joint accounts, from Mom's personal account, even from the emergency fund they kept for medical expenses. The total was over $50,000 stolen bit by bit over the years. But that wasn't the worst part, because when Dad ran a credit check on himself, he found 3 credit cards he'd never opened, and when he called me to check mine, I discovered 4 cards in my name that I knew nothing about. The cards had been opened years ago, and Vicky had been making minimum payments just enough to keep them active, but the balances were maxed out and my credit score had been slowly destroyed without me even knowing. We filed police reports immediately, and the detective assigned to our case started investigating, and within days, she'd found more victims. Vicky's old college roommate had mysterious credit cards too, and so did 2 former friends who'd cut her off years ago for reasons they'd never fully explained. The detective said this was a clear pattern of identity theft and financial fraud that had been going on for almost a decade, always amounts small enough to avoid serious investigation, but adding up to hundreds of thousands of dollars. A week later, the detective called to say they had enough evidence for an arrest warrant and asked if I knew where Vicky was staying. I told them she was at my parents' house because Mom had insisted she move back home after Ryan got his restraining order. The arrest happened on a Tuesday morning, and I know because Mom called me screaming that police were at the house. I drove over and parked down the street where I could see everything without being noticed. 2 police cars were in the driveway, and I could hear Mom yelling at the officers that this was all my fault, that I was vindictive and jealous, and trying to ruin my sister's life. Through the front window, I could see Vicky putting on a performance, crying and talking about her anxiety and depression, and how I'd always been jealous of her success. But the officers had seen the evidence, the fake accounts, the stolen money, the identity theft, and they weren't buying her victim act. They let her out in handcuffs while Mom followed behind screaming that she'd sue everyone involved and that I was no longer her daughter.